Well, hello there everybody and welcome back to my devlog series. This episode actually has a lot of neat stuff in it, so make sure you stick around until the end to see it all. I started off this past week by making a penguin sprite. I had some issues at first with the shape and the colors and whatnot, but I really liked how it turned out. Okay, and then here's the final product for that penguin. As you can see, I also added a scarf on him. I did that without the time-lapse running, so that's new. Honestly, I freaking love him. He's probably my new favorite animal now. I might have to design some concept art similar to the title screen to advertise with him in it, just because he's so adorable. Okay, and here you can see I actually decided to redo the squirrel. I really didn't like the design. I didn't like how he looks on the screen, or in the game rather. And you can see I didn't actually change a whole lot. I think on the left is what it was before, on the right is what it is now. I think with the old design, there was just too much going on, too much shading. I went a little overboard with it, so I dialed that back a whole lot. Another thing that I really struggled with was the shape of the eyes, and I actually looked at how they did eyes in Minecraft, like with Steve. And I realized that they just use two different colors, right? So kind of like white and black, or, you know, white and green or blue if you wanted it to be a certain eye color, but I just went with white and black here. And then I changed how the pixels are ordered a little bit in here with the arm, and I think that makes it look quite a bit better as well. So yeah. I also figured that since I'm going back and fixing some of the older animals, I might as well do a few of them that I wasn't fully happy with. So I redid the Woodpecker a little bit, and even though it was just a small change, I definitely think it looks a lot better. I think on the left it felt a little chunky, but on the right I changed its wing a little bit, added a tail, and if you notice I didn't change the size of the body at all, but I moved I got rid of the shading on the underside, and then I moved the wing down a little bit, and I definitely think it makes them look a lot thinner. I also thought that the hair was a little too bright, so I made that a little darker too. Okay, and then the last redo I did was the wolf. Now, the main problems I had with the wolf was he felt a little skinny. So you can see I made his front paw, or his front leg, 2 pixels wide instead of just 1 pixel wide. And then I also, made his stomach a little bit more beefy. So I think that matches a lot better. And like his back was kind of like puffed out a little bit. Even over here, I didn't change his back at all. So I felt like, he needed to be a little bit more beefy in order to look more natural, I guess. I also added a collar because I really like the idea of the penguin having the scarf. I think that made it look a lot better. And so I went ahead and added a collar to the wolf. Alright, and then one last change I actually made to the animals. I noticed when I was adding the collar to the dog that something seemed a little off. And it was because he didn't have an outline around the collar. And I realized, the penguin doesn't have an outline around the scarf either. So I went back in, and I added a outline around the scarf, and I think it looks a lot better now. Okay, and I actually went back and did one more thing to these animals. I added I changed the eyes on pretty much all of them. So I liked how I did the squirrel eyes, so I went back and changed it for all the animals. One thing I also noticed was that these eyes are pretty much exactly the same as I did for the human, so I really should have just looked how I did them there and then did them for the animals. But for the most part I like these better. With the polar bear I actually added some eyebrows. You probably won't be able to see it there. Great, let me pull up the thing I used to make the pixel art. Let me pull a polar bear in here. Yep. So you can see I added eyebrows to him. I'm pretty sure I like that a bit better than without eyebrows, especially because it was really hard to see like the white of his eyes. I might also go back in and add that to like the moose or the bear in the forest as well. but we'll see. Okay, so you can see I did end up adding the eyebrows. I'm pretty sure I like them a little bit better. Let me know what you think in the comments if you have opinions about them. But I think I like them. I'm also going to, real quick, run over to the Arctic area so I can show you guys the penguin and the polar bear that I got set up over there. I actually have to find them. I don't remember where I put them. It was up here somewhere. Yeah, here they are. So there's these guys. You can see I added the eyebrows to the polar bear as well. And then the cute little penguin, yay! Alright. Okay, and this is actually going to be the last thing for tonight for sure. I thought I was done a while ago, but it's now 2:10 in the morning and I'm still going. You can see I actually added a shadow for the player. So as he walks around, it kind of moves with him. So yeah, I think that looks really good. I'll probably just keep it at that for now, just the little circle. I don't have any plans on making it, you know, any other shape. I think, or I mean, right now it's an oval, right? Because it's kind of like from the side. I also have to set it up for the Arctic, as you can see. So I'll probably do that next, and then I'll head to bed for tonight. Okay, so I actually redid that the bridge in the middle. I wasn't very happy with it. There were comments saying that people didn't like it, so I changed it. And I think this looks a lot better. Basically what I did, I used to have, you know, like a bridge going down here, and then another bridge like up here, I think. I don't even remember what it looked like before. And then there was a bridge going across, which looked weird as well. So instead I figured this big lake, they probably wouldn't put a bridge over it if you could just put several bridges on the sides. You know, in real life that's how it would work. So that's kind of what I did. I branched these paths up here off a little bit, and I connected it to the surrounding paths, and then I made a connector down here as well, to kind of make up for getting rid of this here. Although, I mean, you could just walk across up here too, so either way. But then I still kept the dock as well. Another thing I did, let me pop into Unity real quick. You can see if we, well, shoot, now I forget how to get there. If we go over to the Arctic area, you can see as we walk over, we're now facing the right way, and the shadow is broken. I just noticed that. And then as we walk back this way, we're facing the right way as well. So again, just a small fix, but I think it definitely looks a lot better. Alright, and I actually went back and added shadows to the animals as well. So I think that makes them blend in with the scene a lot better, especially since now the player has a shadow, and the scenery has shadows as well. The only one that doesn't have a shadow is the woodpecker, but that's because he sits on trees. So if we go over to the Arctic area, I can show you the penguin and the polar bear as well. I have to find them because I don't remember where I put them. I have to do this literally every single time I come in here. I should just put them closer to the front. Here they are. Okay. So yeah, you can see again the polar bear just uses the same shadow as the bear, and then the penguin actually just uses the same shadow as the wolf too. So they're just different sizes for different animals. So again, I think that definitely helps them blend into the scene a lot better. Next up is the snowy owl design. Okay, and then here you can see that snowy owl in the game. I also moved all of these guys closer to the entrance. If we check here, this is the entrance right here, and all the animals are right here, so it'll be much easier for me to test them once I add them in. Okay, I also went in and added some footprints into the game. So you can see I have two different sizes as of right now. So I'm using the bigger one for the polar bear, obviously, and then the smaller one for this penguin. I really like how the penguin, it kind of looks like he walked across the path down there. So personally, I like these. I could definitely see a case for leaving them out. So let me know what you think in the comments, but personally I think I like them. Okay, so the next thing I did was actually worked on the Minimap feature for the game. I wanted a quick way to, quickly export a minimap given the tile data from tiled. And so I created this JavaScript that will do that, and it's fully customizable, so it works with any size tile map. You just set these numbers, you can set a border size, and then you can set the actual colors for the image to render. So you can see if I run it, it's not very efficient, but it works fine. It only takes like half a second to finish, and then it exports this map as a PNG, and then I'll be able to put this map into Unity. Okay, and here you can see I actually exported both maps and I put them into Unity. So now the minimap's down in the bottom right corner. I don't know if it's going to stay here. For now I think I like it there, so it probably will. Let me know if you have suggestions for it in the comments for sure. And as you switch between different scenes, it'll switch minimaps as well. So ultimately I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. The next thing I want to do is probably add like a little blip on the minimap where you are, because I mean right now, if you didn't know that we just came from this right side, and you were just like lost in the middle of the forest, you wouldn't know exactly where to look, except maybe if you had some clues with the water, but that would be about it. So I think adding the blip will definitely be the next thing I want to do with the minimap feature. Okay, so if you look down at the minimap now, you can see that I have that little blip. It's like yellow with a red outline on it. And as I move around, the little dot moves around as well. It wasn't super hard to get implemented. I just had to get like the scaling and everything right, because the size of the minimap right now is like half the size that I exported it as. So I just had to get that set up. Another really cool feature that I implemented was actually saving the position of the player like to a file. So now if you see we go back to the first screen and then we come back in, we'll still be in the same location. And this does work in different scenes as well. First of all, the minimap works too, so you can see we're in the top left now. And then if I go up here and just stand right next to this penguin, go back to the title screen, press play again, I load in there. So yeah, definitely makes it feel more like a actual game now, for sure. Here's the Arctic hare I made. I'm not exactly sure if I like it or not, so let me know what you think in the comments. Alright, so it's actually been about a week since I've done any major work on the game, since I've been working my other job a whole lot this past week. I haven't had as much time to work on this. But as you can see, I've done quite a few stuff actually. So you can see right off the bat, I made my own cursor for the game. And as you hover over different animals, it'll turn into a camera to like signify that you can take pictures of the animals. When you click on the animals, the camera will pan over to the animal, and then it will show like a some kind of like white border maybe that like comes in from the side that makes it look like it's like snapping a picture, and there'll be a sound that plays. So like I'll click on it and it'll go chink. That was a horrible sound, and then it will snap back to the player. You can see the player can't move or anything. I'm trying to move while I'm taking the picture, but it can move. The player can move after the picture is done. So next up, well actually one thing I do want to mention, so this video will be coming out this weekend, I believe, and so I'd like to get the beta build actually done by this weekend. So stay tuned for that. In the rest of the video I'm sure I'll talk a little bit more about that. But what I still need to do is the Arctic fox, the animal, like sprite design and stuff. And then I also need to do an actual image gallery so you can see the images you've taken, or the pictures, and then implement loading screens, because again, like over here, this is kind of ugly just switching it between, and sometimes it glitches out with the movement. So I'll need to implement some loading screens to make that look a little bit better. Also, as you can see, I implemented this Arctic hare as well. and the cameras work in this scene as well. So that's good. And here's the design for the Arctic fox. I had some trouble with the coloring, but I think I finally figured it out in the end. Okay, so I actually went ahead and did a few things tonight. So you can see down in the bottom left corner right away, there's some just some directions on like how to play the game and such. Also, you just saw the time lapse of me building the Arctic fox asset, and I thought it looked pretty similar to a wolf. And really, there's not a lot of differences between foxes and wolves. They're pretty closely related. So I actually tweaked it a little bit and made a wolf spray out of it. And so this is the one I have now for the wolf, instead of this other one. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. I think I like the new one better. But yeah, definitely, or not the chat, the comments. I'm more used to Twitch, honestly. Another thing I did, you'll notice right away, I added a strap on the, well, I had the strap on the front for the camera, but on the back and the sides I didn't have one, so I added that, so I think that looks nice. The other thing I added, let me get over to the Arctic area, was the actual Arctic fox, so I can show that off over here. So there he is, looking pretty snazzy. So yeah, we have all the animals now for the Arctic area. So basically done with the art for this beta build. So again, all I have left is the image gallery and the loading screens. And oh, and also the camera animation for when you take a picture. So I'll probably be working on all of that next time. Or not next time, but either later tonight or throughout the week. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to do tonight was actually just work on that animation for when you actually take the picture. So you can see I'll click the deer over here, it'll pan over, take the picture, and then snap back. I haven't quite figured out how to make it like pan back to the character. I don't know if I even want it to. We'll see. If I can figure it out, I might consider it. But yeah, as of right now, looking at my code, I'm not 100% sure how I'll make that work, but I'm sure there's some way. But yeah, I like it quite well. It looks pretty good. You can see I hide the cursor, I hide the UI and stuff too. So it's really just the animal in the shot. So yeah, honestly, I could do this all day because I really quite like how I implemented it. I base it off of actually just the screenshot on my phone. I have an S20, so this is more or less what it does. Not exactly, but it gave me a rough idea of what I needed to strive for. So I think it looks pretty good. Okay, and the first thing I did this morning was actually fix it so that the camera will pan back over to the player. So it wasn't actually as hard as I was making it out to be. I just really couldn't figure it out. It was one of those things where I was tired and I just had to go to bed, and then laying in bed I figured it out. So it's not that difficult. All I'm doing basically is restricting the player's movement. So I'm going to hold left when I click the mouse, or right, I'm holding right. And then you see the player doesn't move until it's fully panned back to him. I'll do it again, I'll hold left. Yeah, and this way, well, I was trying this before, but I was letting the player move. I was unlocking the movement before the camera actually got back to him, and then it took the camera a whole bunch of time to get caught up because he was actively moving away from the camera. So again, my solution was just to, well, I'm just going to lock the movement until it's fully back to the player. So that seems to work pretty nicely. Alright, so I actually ended up adding the gallery. I moved some of the animals around and such. So you can see if I click on the deer, for example, it pans over, it clicks on them, and instead of pressing G to open the gallery, I just decided to add a button down here instead of having like a list of controls. So you click on this, it fades to the new scene, and then here's the gallery. So you can see here are the deer. So if I were to run over somewhere else, might as well go over to the Arctic area to show off switching scenes between those two. So yeah, you see it fades out and fades back in very nicely. The snowy owls are up here. I'm not going to show off too much because it'll be like a surprise in the beta build. And then I can go into my gallery, and now I have images for both of those. This obviously is not the final screen for the gallery. It's just basically, you know, something quick I threw together. But it still looks pretty nice. And then you can return to the game, you know, the title screen, all this stuff works. I also added a setting to reset all of your game data, just in case, you know, if you wanted to play the beta a couple of times, you could, you know, reset it, and then you can see we go back and then press play, and now we're at the start again, and our gallery will be empty as well. So again, that's it for this beta build. So this will probably already be out by the time this video goes out. The beta build will already be out, so I'm sure I'll have a link in the description. I'm probably going to be working on the game still over the next week up until the video comes out, but that stuff won't be in this video. That'll be in the next video. And speaking of the next video, that one won't come out until 3 weeks from now, and it will probably also be like that Monday or Tuesday because I'll be on vacation. But that week that it should have come out, I'm going to have a putt-putt episode, so if you're interested in that, that will be coming out. Thanks again to Zach O on Patreon for sticking with me for another month. I really appreciate that. If you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, definitely check that out. There should be a link in the description for that as well. But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.